my microphone is, oh, there it is. Okay. Can you guys hear me? Just give somebody on the chat board. Can you just give me a heads up here about whether you can hear me? Because I have mic levels here. No audio. Oh, that's just dandy. Oh boy. Perfect. I love this. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I have audio. I'm showing audio here. You guys saying no audio. You guys hear me? Okay. It's very loud now. All right. Let's see if I can take care of that. Okay. I don't know what that was. I had my audio was there. All right. So how about we just start all over again? Joe Rayo is doing some last minute preparations for the thunderstorms, which are moving in. At one point tonight, we had 7 severe thunderstorm watches up all at the same time from Tennessee all the way up through upstate New York. And it is very busy. So I'm going to I want to start off though with the satellite before we go to the radar, because kind of interesting what happened today, at least from the standpoint of some of the coastal areas, and particularly for areas in Long Island and southern New England. Now, if you look off the East Coast, you can see the circulation of Claudette as it moves away to the northeast. I assume it's still a tropical storm. I really did, with all the thunderstorms going around, I forgot to check. But one of the things that happened today is as Claudette was moving off, high clouds spread over Long Island and southern New England. And there was enough cloudiness to cut down on the daytime heating in that area. So SPC did a really good job today, at least so far, in terms of where they have the cutoff drawn for the severe weather, which was right at about New York City. It kind of made sense because their inland temperatures were up in the 80s and up above 90. And in areas in southern New England, as we check out, I got the hazards map up, temperatures there, and there's still a wind coming in from off the ocean. They're in the low 70s. Even though the dew points are up around 70, we've got that south wind, which loves to take thunderstorms as they move eastward and weaken them. Now, the upper trough might compensate for that to some degree. The storms still seem to be holding together pretty well. We'll see if that's the case as they draw closer. But the dew points today just absolutely took off. Remember, we came from a very, very low place. We were Sunday, particularly from New York City, northern New Jersey, and points north and east. We had dew points down in the 50s. And in some cases, the further north you went, those dew points were down in the low 50s and even some upper 40s. Well, guess what? They shot up like a rocket ship into the 70s. We have 70 dew points all the way up into northern New York. So no wonder we're seeing severe weather the way we're seeing it. And it's rocking. We could say it's rock and rolling in a very big way. So here's the latest radar. And this is actually updated from about 7:30, so it's only 5 minutes old. And we've got numerous, well over a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings working in play from the northeast. And when we move it down, I'll just shift the radar down a little bit further south. We've got warnings also up in parts of western North Carolina down into Tennessee. If you look here in northeast Georgia, got some storms that are moving northeastward, and I can hear them. So as I said maybe before the audio was down and came back up, let's hope that I don't lose power. Manual 348 says, why marine layer weakens thunderstorms? Well, the marine layer is very cool and it is moist, but the important part of that is that it's very cool. So and also it tends to be very stable. So in other words, if you go up about, say, a couple of thousand feet, there's uniform temperatures there, and that marine layer acts as a way of stabilizing the atmosphere. Thunderstorms like to develop in a very unstable atmosphere where temperatures fall rapidly with height. But if you've got a marine layer that's several thousand feet thick, that kind of kills it to a large extent. So in the spring, when those storms go east of New York City and they go over Long Island and into southern New England, they tend to weaken, and and oftentimes they actually just completely fall apart. They can fall apart fairly rapidly. That marine layer becomes a non-event as we get deeper into the month of July and into August, because the water temperatures then move up to the mid and upper 70s, and you don't really get much of a sea breeze. You get more of a land breeze, and even if you do get a bit of a sea breeze, those warmer temperatures make a huge difference, and they can be moisture laden with the much warmer ocean just to the south. So that's kind of how the marine layer works. And in inland areas, the further you get away from the coast, the south wind becomes more and more of a land wind. So if you're in western New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and points westward, and in interior Virginia, interior Maryland, and points westward, that south wind is not going to matter to you, because that essentially is a warm wind. There was a tornado warning. I'm going to bring up Tornado HQ and see where that warning is in upstate New York. Right now there were 15 active severe thunderstorm, severe weather warnings. Well, let me see if I can get that tornado warning that was up. Okay, it's not showing up here. 32 minutes ago, 39, 42, an hour ago, so it must have been a little bit earlier. I'm going to go to Tornado HQ's main page. It might have it. Okay, so this one it expired at 6:46. So it was supposed to, at 6:46 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Ohio, the town of Ohio, or 19 miles north of Little Falls. So this was in Fulton, Hamilton, and Herkimer counties in the state of New York. Never heard of Herkimer County, but no matter. That's what it says here. It says in upstate New York. There was also a tornado earlier this evening in Greene, Pennsylvania, Greene, and that was about 15 miles southwest of Waynesburg, and that was but that's done. And there were also a couple of tornadoes. I'm looking here in Ohio, one in Maine, near Somerset, in Somerset County in Maine, a severe thunderstorm 12 miles north of Jackman, Maine. This was 3 hours ago. Another tornado warning earlier today in 12 miles east of Churchill Dam, or 25 miles southeast of Clayton Lake, in Aroostook and Piscataquis County in Maine, and the other one was in Somerset County. I'm just checking. A few more popped up in Pennsylvania in Allegheny County, and that looks like it just about ran its course from the standpoint of the number of tornado warnings we had, and the SBC. Okay, I think we're getting the signal back. Can you guys hear me now? This is really ridiculous. Can you guys hear me? If you can let me know, that would be great. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 1, 2. Can you hear me? Awesome. Okay, folks, just bear with me. I got to find. I got to get. I got to get Joe Rayo back. This is it. It's a little odd because we're having thunderstorms up and down the East Coast, so I'm having one too, and it just knocked it. I could lose my power at any time. This is really funny. So let me see if I can get a new Zoom link up here for Joe. Oh, good Lord. Okay, so that's back. Hang on. There we go. So now you guys will be able to see me momentarily. And let's see if I can get Mr. Rayo. on here. All right, hang on a second. I don't know if he's back yet from his chores. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm actually, normally this sort of stuff gets me a little riled up, but I have to laugh at this tonight because it is a little bit of an unusual situation. All right. Okay, so he hopefully will get this unless he winds up losing power. And I am going to set up my backup internet here so that this way, if I lose it again, I can make a quick switch and we could be, we'll have a minimal interruption. All right. Okay, that's set to go. All right. You guys can hear me. Everything is good. Joe's not back yet from doing whatever it is he needed to do. So let me go back to the radar. And okay. Yay. 1,000 apologies, folks. But this is the kind of night we're having. So we've got the storms now. The line, the strongest part of this line, you can see on the current radar, is running from upstate New York, northern New York, and extends southward down to eastern Pennsylvania into northeastern Maryland and northern Delaware. There's a couple of rather strong cells there. I'm going to pull up the Fort Dix radar, see if we can take a look at this on what's going on here. Radar DIX. We'll go first. Let's pull New York up, and then I can change it. Okay, so here's the New York radar, the Upton radar. So the storms are not even in the range of the Upton radar. So let's try the Fort Dix radar, and that should work. And there you can see the cells, particularly the ones around Allentown up to Scranton. They really look very robust, and they're moving quickly to the east. So they should make it into the western New Jersey counties in the next 20 or 30 minutes. There looks like there's a fairly big thunderstorm that is running down through southeastern Pennsylvania, and then another couple of big cells over in Maryland. I'm going to go to the Albany radar now because there's the action that's going on in upstate New York, and take a look at what's happening there. And they're down. Okay. Hang on, I got to change a letter here. Maybe that's the problem. Isn't live weather fun? But there's the Albany radar. Look at that big cell that's just popped up right over Glens Falls. Another one that is moving, a cluster there north of I-90. That's going to go northwest of Albany, but that looks like that's headed for Glens Falls and Saratoga and points along the Northway. Also, down in the western Catskills, get ready for some big storms that are approaching there. We've got a snaky line that's just outside of Oneonta and Cobleskill, and they passed through Binghamton, and now you can see also the southern end of this that is running through Scranton and Allentown that we showed you earlier. Let me just really quick acknowledge Jason Schaefer. Thank you so much for hitting Super Chat tonight. It was a wonderful Father's Day. Joe and I appreciate that greatly. And I know there was another Super Chat hit earlier tonight, and I've lost it. So whoever it was, thank you very much for hitting Super Chat. I really do appreciate it. I think it came up just before we lost the internet a little while ago. So clearly, the radar here, the thunderstorms are wreaking havoc all over the place. And take a look also, they're still going on. Now remember, this area down here across much of the south with the remnants with Claudette's long gone, but there's still there's so much tropical moisture that was left over down across the southern states that we're seeing lots of showers and thunderstorms from Louisiana across the Gulf Coast, and a lot of shower and storm activity going on in parts of Central and South Florida, particularly along the East Coast. We've got a couple of special marine warnings offshore the Central Florida coast, and also just south of like Panama City, and in that area, you see this very large area, special marine warning there. So busy night on the radar. I think this all pretty much did play up to expectations. Here's the Storm Prediction Center's map, and you can see where the risk areas are tonight. Still with that enhanced risk now that runs up northeast through eastern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, the eastern part of upstate New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and just getting into western Maine, and all those the blue severe thunderstorm watches. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 working watches up at the moment. And as I pointed out earlier, they did a nice job here with their forecast of adding that enhanced risk, getting the slight risk going all the way down into Tennessee. So pretty much this whole area here was under one big, gigantic, severe thunderstorm watch at one point this afternoon. Now for tomorrow, we've got this front that's coming through, and the front is going to slow down and it's going to stall. And this is really tricky for some areas in the zone in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England because the front is going to stall right, right along the coast or perhaps just inland of the coast. And that's going to make a huge difference because if the front gets hung up a little bit further to the west, they may they certainly have it covered with the general thunderstorm activity, and there might be some storms that could form tomorrow afternoon. I don't think they're going to be severe because the dry air is on our doorstep. But if the front's a little bit further to the east, we may just get some showers, and that'll be about it. But from southern the Delmarva Peninsula down through southern Virginia, North Carolina, most of South Carolina, central and southern Georgia, northern Florida onto the Panhandle, under a marginal risk. Also, a marginal risk tomorrow, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, and a marginal risk over a good chunk of the state of Oregon, which we don't see too often. And then as we move on to day 3, not seeing any indication of any severe weather risk. They have a couple of general thunderstorm areas, but notice day 3 being Wednesday through Thursday, a good chunk of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic states down into the Tennessee Valley. They are going to see no thunderstorms on Wednesday because we've got another gorgeous dry air mass that is headed our way to the south. For those of you who are joining late, Joe Rayo had to take care of a few things at his house before the storms hit, so he said he'd jump on as soon as he got done. And of course, there's always a chance that he could wind up losing power where he is, because that tends to happen a lot. But I'm monitoring it, so if he does manage to get back, we'll pop him on. And we also, I'm having thunderstorms here, and that temporarily knocked the internet out, which is made for that headache earlier in the show. But we seem to be, knock on wood, okay for the time being. The WPC was indicating only a marginal risk of flash flooding out of this, with the slight risk much further to the south and along the Florida coast, which kind of makes sense for the areas further south because of the rain that fell over the weekend. I didn't really get a whole lot of rain here. Maybe I got about 1.5 inches or 2 inches from just kind of guesstimating how long it lasted. It only rained hard for about 3 or 4 hours, and then by early afternoon yesterday, the rain just quit. But the rainfall amounts I do have at least through 7 a.m. We'll let the map plot up here because there were some sizable rainfall amounts in parts of the south. But now, of course, this may have updated. But let me just let's put some borders on here and get a little closer. So this is rainfall that from Sunday into this morning, and you can see the heavier rains on the order of 3 inches over just all the heavy rain was along the Outer Banks, or even just offshore the Outer Banks, really. Most of the rain on land was on the order of about, the most was about an inch to an inch and a half. And you can see also off the Florida coast and off the Louisiana coast showing for some rain. I'm going to go to the last 7 days, because I think that'll give us a better picture. So this includes all the rain from Tropical Storm Claudette, and the yellow is 2 inches, and the red is 5. So you can see where the 5-inch rainfall amounts were. They kind of, I think they, overall, they kind of came in under forecast in terms of the total rainfall amounts, because they were going for 6 to 10 inches. So it looks like they only got about half that. Uh, One of the things that was on the back of my mind through much of the time with the Friday into Saturday was the fact that they upgraded this into a tropical storm after the low had moved inland because of the very long, elongated center that they had. So they must have found some gale force winds just offshore in that long stretch. So, kind of running, one of the questions that was running through my mind is that with this, years ago, this might not have ever been made into a tropical storm. They may have just left it as just a low, or perhaps maybe they would have made it subtropical. I don't know what boxes were checked in order for it to become a tropical storm. And then, of course, the large circulation caused the Claudette to strengthen again as it approached eastern North Carolina, and it also was upgraded to a tropical storm while the center was still on land because there were some offshore winds at about 35 to 40 knots. I didn't see any sustained winds this morning when I looked. I looked later in the day, and it looks like there were some 30 to 35 knot winds sustained. But this morning, I really didn't see anything. I saw a few gusts in the 30s, but they were all offshore at the buoys, and the land winds were virtually non-existent. So Claudette is now moving out to the northeast. I believe it is going to pass south of Nova Scotia, and then become a post-tropical system as it approaches Newfoundland on Wednesday morning, probably with some gales and some heavier rains. The Hurricane Center is also looking at a system out east of the Windward Islands. They have a 30% probability of this developing in the next 2 days, and also in the next 5 days. We can give it a look on the satellite to see just exactly what's going on over there. I'll bring up the tropical Atlantic satellite, and we'll take a look and see what's going on with that. This time of year, usually it's a bit of a struggle to get systems to develop in that particular area. There is, always the issue of the ocean water temperatures are not quite there yet. They're getting there, but they're not quite there yet to support a strong tropical storm, or maybe a moderate to a minimal tropical storm. You can see where the clouds are from the coast of South America northeastward out into the Atlantic. They mentioned that it did become a little bit better defined today. You see that little concentration there. Upper air winds are going to become unfavorable once it gets close to the Eastern Caribbean, so it doesn't really have a whole lot of time here before it's going to run into a hostile environment. Also, if you notice, there's that hazy shading off the African coast. We explained the other day that this was haze, and that's the dust coming in off the Sahara is usually a problem until we get into the latter part of July, and then as the rainy season spreads northward, we wind up with a much better environment, a much more favorable environment, I should say, for tropical cyclone development. Mr. Rayo is well, he was there. You were there.
I'm here.
Yeah, but your camera just shut off.
What is shut off? My video.
Yes, your camera. Now you're there.
Right there.
So just so you're up to speed, okay? I'm having thunderstorms here at the same time you're having thunderstorms there. So when I started the show, for some reason I had no audio. Then the audio magically came back by itself, and then I lost the internet for a couple of minutes, and then we got that back. Is that liquor?
Believe me, if I drank alcohol, it would be liquor. You talk
So,
about a hostile environment.
oh yes, okay. Well, we can move on from there. Um, so you took care of whatever it is you had to take care of in order to protect your life, limb, and
Yes,
property.
well, I was told this would have been a procedure that would not have lasted more than 20 minutes, and obviously it was a longer period. Well, I mean, you had a giant pool. I mean, imagine two people trying to take the cover, the weather cover, the winter weather cover off a pool of that size. First, of course, you had to get rid of all the ropes that held the damn thing down, and then you had to get rid of the water bags, which are on the periphery of the pool cover. You have to get them aside, and then you have to pick one side up and then roll it over. But there was water in the middle of the pool, so it made it more difficult to get rid of because, as you are well aware, even a small amount of water can be awfully heavy. And we were trying to throw all of this off the side of a pool that's elevated about 10 feet or 8 feet off the ground. It was wonderful. So, anyway, here I am.
Well, we went through the radar already, and I just finished with Claudette. But there was a couple of things I wanted to bring up that I brought up earlier. So maybe your never to be humble opinion on
I'd like
this.
to get your opinion on one thing before we proceed here, unless you've already covered it.
Yeah, no, my hair is its
I said
natural color, but go ahead.
I said tomorrow that we would start out with temperatures in the 60s to around 70 most everywhere in the tri-state area. Then the front goes on by, and then from there, I didn't see much of a temperature rise. If anything, I think the temperatures will slowly fall, and I wouldn't be surprised if where I live and even for parts of New York City, by late tomorrow afternoon, temperatures will be in the 50s. What do you think of that analysis?
I think that that's certainly possible. It's going to depend on this front tonight and whether it does it go offshore because it's going to stall temporarily until that next little wave goes by tomorrow. And you got a couple of models from earlier today had it stalling out, basically cutting across Long Island in half and just offshore. You've got a few others that are sort of hanging the front back a little bit and waiting for that wave to go by. But I will say, whoever's north and west of that frontal boundary, yes, I think you're correct. You're going to probably see the temperatures there north and west of where the frontal boundary is. And I think you have a pretty good chance of being in that position of seeing your temperatures
Yes.
just really go nowhere tomorrow and then fall back later in the day. And as that cooler, drier air starts to come in, yeah, you're going to see those numbers go down. So I understand where you're going with this.
All right. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. So,
Yeah.
no, I mentioned earlier in the show how Claudette
The weather today is being brought to you by
Quacker Oats.
Quacker Oats.
So I mentioned
Oh, Joe.
I mentioned earlier today that Claudette, coming off the North Carolina coast, actually is having some impact on the thunderstorm development for areas on Long Island and southern New England because during the late morning, all these high clouds came rolling in. Of course, this morning there was a problem there because there was fog and low clouds that took a while for it to burn off. But between that and the high clouds, the high clouds, all the daytime heating got cut off. And then there was a south wind for a good part of the day because of all of this. So the marine layers kind of taken hold east of New York City. So it's
Right.
which it explains the very sharp cutoff that we had with going to have with those thunderstorms. The way SPC drew the severe weather, the marginal risk line. That's probably what's going to happen. These cells are going to move through eastern New Jersey, get to about New York City, and then they're just going to die out.
Yes. And I agree 100% with that. In fact, as it looks right now, tonight, the threat of strong to possibly, especially north and west of Interstate 84, Joe.
Mm.
The possibility for even some severe activity, and that's pretty much where the thunderstorm watches are, north and west of the immediate New York City area, and they're up until about midnight tonight, and then we'll go into a little bit of a quiet phase, and then tomorrow it looks like we'll start in again with more wet weather, especially from midday into the afternoon hours, and again that'll be dependent on how much any one spot gets will be dependent on where that wave on that slow moving front is, whether or not the front is west or east of us, and whether or not it ripples right over us or just to our east. But we're not fully going to be out of this until sometime late tomorrow or tomorrow evening, and then this, it's incredible. I mean, Wednesday, the potential exists for dew points again, well down in the 40s, maybe even in
Yep.
the upper 30s, along with temps in the low to mid 70s here in the Hudson Valley. And again, while we saw something similar to that last week, and you said, all right, well, that's it. We're not going to see any more of that. Guess what? We're going to see it again Wednesday and back into the 40s dew point wise on Thursday. So a couple of really nice days coming up for this week after we get rid of all of this dreck
Right.
tonight and into tomorrow.
Well, we shouldn't forget the big cells that are moving across Pennsylvania into western New Jersey now. By the way, there's some pretty hefty cells that we showed on the radar a little while ago. I wrote a piece on my for my subscribers the other day. I wrote a long range piece, and I made the point that when you're in a certain weather pattern, they tend to repeat until they don't. And I think that's what we're seeing now. I mean, this is really kind of a carbon copy of what happened last week with this, anomalous deep trough that's going to be in the eastern part of the United States. And I was looking at some of the long range, some of the climate long range on the CFS. Was kind of interesting to me, Joe, that the CFS has troughing in the east all through the month of July and into early August. So, which is, which if it's true, depending on now, of course, where that's the mean position. We don't know obviously where it's going to be, from day to day or week to week, but that could mean that we could have um, continued weather fronts coming through every couple of days, where you get, it gets hot and humid for a day like today, and then you get relief behind it, or on the other hand, you could have a setup too where you have these troughs. If they drop into the Ohio Valley, and you set up with the southerly flow, then you're dealing with clouds and you're dealing with moisture coming up the eastern seaboard and rain. And of course, as we get deeper into July and then eventually into August, you get a pattern like that. It could be problematic if there's a tropical system somewhere in the Southwest Atlantic. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that the climate models are showing this troughiness in the eastern states kind of being very stubborn and hanging on.
It just reminds me, I did not look at the 3 to 4 week prog from the Climate Prediction Center to see what they were suggesting, and what they're suggesting, Joe, from July 3rd to July 16th is above normal for most of the northern and central part of the United States, and below normal probabilities across the southern United States, from southern Texas through Louisiana and on into Georgia, your part of the country, and across the Florida Peninsula, below normal temperatures. So
You have share
warm
screen.
north and cool south.
Yeah, you have share screen, by the way. Robert Russo hitting super chat tonight. Thank you so much, Robert. Most appreciated. Uh, if you want to pop those maps up now, or you can. There you
Will
go.
do, will do. Let me here you see the 3 to 4 week outlook again from the 3rd of July to the 16th, and notice right here in the worst possible place that you'd want it, in the already burnt and dry western United States, for lower Idaho up into southern Montana, northwestern, I should say, Wyoming, northern Utah, and eastern sections of Nevada. 70% probability. And you don't often see that. I mean, 70% probability on a 3 to 4 week outlook. That's pretty high for above normal temperatures. Here in the Northeast, we're at about 55%. And then down south, across, as I said, lower Texas, Louisiana, southernmost Arkansas, into Alabama and Mississippi, Georgia, including, I think, your part of Georgia, Joe, and down into the Florida Peninsula, below normal temperatures. Now, as far as precipitation is concerned for that 3 to 4 week, well, that's not the 3 to 4 week. Let's see, 3 to 4 week expected precip across Texas, where they certainly do not need it, and Louisiana and on into Alabama and Mississippi above normal. And of course, where they certainly could use the water but will not get it apparently, will be up here in the Pacific Northwest, northern and central Rockies, northern and central plains, below normal precip, and everywhere else, equal chances of either above or below normal amounts of precipitation. That again is for the 3 to 4 week experimental, which runs from the 3rd to the 16th of July.
Well, I pulled up the latest CFS climate model so we could kind of see the logic behind this and see what the latest run of the CFS has. So when you switch it back to me, I can punch it up. Oh, I just realized, by the way, I lost you temporarily. I got the CFS. Okay, I'm sorry, folks. Just having a lot of technical difficulties tonight with the thunderstorms on both sides of the ocean here. You know, from my land to Joe's. So just really quick, Joe, can you punch that map up again, just to show everybody? Because I lost it on the screen.
All right, hold on. Okay, well, hang on, because when I tap this out, I took that down, so now I'm going to put it back up again, and now I've got to share it again, and I'm going to put that here and share. Now that's the precipitation map.
Right.
Let's put the temperature map up. This is for 3 to 4 weeks, and there you go.
Okay, so this is what you were illustrating before about the places that are burning up in the 70% probability there up in northern Utah, Nevada, and Idaho. Now switch it back, and I'll put up this. I'm gonna put up the CFS, the climate model. One of the climate models. So, I mean, take a look at this. And the first thing that stands out, now this is the current time period. This takes us from June 21st through June 28th. So this is sort of the mean trough position over that 1 week period. And this time of year, you're not supposed to really see big anomalies. And you're seeing big warm anomalies in the purple, with the ridge that's along the west coast, particularly up into Western Canada, and also east of Newfoundland, out south of Greenland, out in the Atlantic. But also note the dark blue. So you have, this is a very cold upper atmosphere that we're dealing with. And we get these cold troughs this time of year, you're going to get severe weather like we're getting now. But carrying it through, you kind of lose the anomalies. It becomes closer to normal in terms of what's going on in the upper air. But if you look at the general flow, Joe, going through the month of July and now kind of looking at the mean flow going into August, all through the month we have the ridge out in the western part of the United States, and this sort of, this troughing that is still sort of hanging out in the east. And I thought, like I said, I thought that was kind of interesting that the climate model keeps showing this troughing lasting through July into the first part of August. It would suggest, certainly, if you're going to have a ridge out there, even with what they have the above normal here in the east, but the real heat's going to be under a heat ridge. We don't really have a heat ridge here in the eastern part of the United States if the climate models are correct.
No, we don't. We don't. Not from what you see and what is being depicted there. I would say, with the trough position the way it is, I would say it would be below normal, not just for the southeastern states, but also for much of the eastern United States, instead of that above normal that stretches, again, from the central plains or the central Rockies north and eastward across into our neck of the woods.
If not below normal, close to normal. You certainly would see that. I got the. I'm going to try to load the GFS is going to load here, but I'm going to switch it over to the NAM so we can take a look at what's going on for tomorrow here in our neck of the woods. And we'll just give it a moment here to go through the circle of death, which it likes to do. And come on. It can't be because everybody's trying to get onto the net. There we go. The picture started to There they go. The frames are starting to load. All right. So here are our storms that, of course, you see how they just kind of die out after about 9 or 10 o'clock. So there's still a few left over to the west and south. The southern storms tend to hold on longer. In fact, it's got a nice little line coming through me about 3 or 4 in the morning tomorrow. I'm sure they'll wake me up. And then you see what happens tomorrow, Joe. That front, if you draw it on the isobars at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, that front is, I mean, literally running almost right across New York City, eastern New Jersey. So, yeah, I mean, anywhere that's north and west of there, as you pointed out, you're going to see temperatures going absolutely nowhere and maybe even falling later in the day. And then ahead of it is just offshore. That's why SPC doesn't have severe weather for tomorrow. I put in for some showers, mainly from coastal New Jersey east into southern New England, depending on where that front hangs out. And then you're after that, like you said, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday to me was a kind of a little bit of a question because I noticed the GFS and the NAM are sort of trying to bring a little low there along the North Carolina coast with some moisture, trying to push it northward. The GFS was actually trying to bring in showers Friday afternoon. I'm just looking at the new run, and it's an onshore flow, but there's not a whole lot in the way of showers on this particular run. So now I tend to favor in situations like this. We've seen it pop up a few times in the last month or two. We wind up with a little or nothing, and then it looks like the next cold front will probably get here sometime on Sunday with some showers and storms. And let's see if the GFS. Let's go look at the tropics. Let's see if this model run did anything with regards to developing a tropical system, because it's been doing that lately after day 7. One of the runs today brought in a hurricane to the Texas coast. It's taking something out of the Northwest Caribbean a week from now and taking it northwest into the Gulf of Mexico. And on this run, it's off now. On this run, instead of going to the Texas coast, it goes to the Florida West Coast, if you want to believe it, and then it goes inland after that. So I'm sure we're going to see the GFS and other models try to hint at some tropical systems along the way. But as always with these, we usually wait till we see them inside the day 5 time frame in order to get remotely interested in them. I'm just going to let's do a quick radar check before we come back to us full screen and end this show because it's been so technically painful. All right.
Jason Schaefer doesn't want it to rain on Sunday because he's going to Bronx Zoo. So
we'll
try to keep it.
Well, we'll try to accommodate. Yes.
Yes.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 severe thunderstorm warnings are up right now from, possibly 11, from Delaware all the way up north to northeastern New York. Looks like they just threw up a couple of warnings maybe for Sullivan County and for Sussex County in northwest New Jersey. And we've got a few counties up in northeastern PA under severe thunderstorm warnings. Those cells there seem to be holding together nicely. The other ones that are around the Philadelphia area, those look like they may have weakened a little bit as they move east. And then we've got some other storms in southwest PA, back into West Virginia, southern Ohio. And the storm that was over me that knocked the internet out for a couple of minutes, that has now moved into western North Carolina. So it went up Route 64, State Route 64 into North Carolina, and on its way maybe toward Asheville. So
I would say that for the immediate New York area, running from northeast to southwest, centered on New York City, I'd say the odds are that sometime between 9 and 11 o'clock, somebody in that zone is probably going to be seeing at least a thunderstorm or two, and maybe, especially again north and west of New York, some of that activity could be locally strong to possibly even severe. So some active weather ahead of us in the coming hours. And then I'm going to be very interested to see what happens tomorrow, Joe, because again, as you said, wherever that front happens to be, if it gets just past New York City and to the east, I could see temperatures tumbling, from a relatively mild start to the day through the 60s and maybe even into the 50s, for goodness sake, before day's end tomorrow. So it looks like that kind of a day tomorrow. And then very nice weather for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, my own opinion is that I don't think we'll see any wet weather, but I think we're going to see a lot cloudier weather here to finish out the week on Friday. And the weekend looks, at least right now, a bit on the muggy side with higher levels of humidity, dew points higher, and the chance, both Saturday and Sunday, of a few showers or maybe a hit or miss thunderstorm. That, in a nutshell, is the week.
That pretty much sums it up. Hang on, I'm just responding to a couple of messages about the fact that the screen was black when you were showing your maps, and then I had to go back and fix it. As I said, folks, once the first thing goes wrong, I'm behind the 8 ball when it comes to dealing with all the technical stuff that I got to deal with here from this end. So again, 1,000 apologies on my end with respect to what's going on. I always try to get a clean show technically, and that means I have to really be focused, and you start getting distracted, and that just stops. That just stops.
Yeah.
I'm just checking to see if Mr. Briller sent me any. I think he did the other day, but I can't get his messages up for some reason. My chat messages here are all in a mess.
Well, then I think what we ought to do is just simply say Briller Jeopardy is preempted tonight because of technical difficulties, and
I got it.
maybe tomorrow.
I just got it. You ready?
It's not preempted.
No, it's not.
All right.
Here we go. Tonight's category, Mr. Rayo, is the 4th of July. Okay. The 4th of July.
Okay.
And the question is, since 1970 on the 4th of July, how many washouts have there been? Within 2.
Washouts? You mean like just
all day rain and just crap?
Just all day rain and that crap.
Yeah.
I will say, well, I know there were 2 days that stand out. 4th of July, 1979, and also a 4th of July with Hurricane Arthur or Tropical Storm Arthur. Then that passed on by, I think about 5 years ago. I'd say like 2016. But I know there probably was at least 1 or 2 others. I'll say 4.
Actually, the answer, well, you're within 2 because the answer actually is 2. 1978 and 1981.
1981. Well, I'm still not I'm still uncertain as to what exactly is the requisite for a washout.
Well, let's just
heavy. I mean, like, and how much rain?
I don't know.
79. I remember because 1979.
78.
The day before on.
Well, he says 78.
Yeah, but I'm saying 1979. Here,
okay.
Which obviously is one that Scott did not mention. 1979. I was on WMCA radio and I was trying to impress people. I was just a tot. I was a tiny tot. I was 23 years old and trying to make a name for myself in radio. And the day before, I had told everybody that the 4th of July, 1979 would be one of the best, one of the nicest, one of the most gloriously beautiful 4th of July days weather-wise than we have ever seen in the history of our country here in New York. I woke up the next morning, 4th of July morning, the sky was covered in high cirriform, which got lower and thicker as the day wore on. And by about early to mid-afternoon, it began to drizzle. And the temperature was in the 60s or near 60. It was an absolutely horrible day. Now, by the standards of what Scott may be referring to as a washout, we didn't put down a whole heck of a lot of rainfall, but I got to tell you something. It was just a miserable day. Afternoon. It was based upon the 2.LFM, which we had at the time. That was the state-of-the-art model. The day before, high pressure was supposed to build in and bring us a glorious, wonderful 4th of July. Unfortunately, it failed to take note of a little disturbance out near Chicago, which it completely missed. And by the time we got to the 4th of July, this disturbance had grown into a small but potent surface system, which moved across the Northeast and totally destroyed any hope of having any great outdoor plans. And Joe, I felt like slitting my wrists that afternoon
Yeah,
after what I had said.
it's never a
And
good feeling.
Bert Knapp, who was the news director and he had been with MCA for like 40 years, he's ripping me to shreds. I mean, every hour, and he had to do it. He said, well, we thought we were going to have a great day. Here's Joe Ray to tell us what went wrong. Ow, ow, terrible. And after the afternoon was over, and again, I was ready to kill myself. I don't know, I was fit to be tied. The phone rang, and it was Bert. And Bert said to me, don't get upset. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, New Yorkers have a short memory. This will be forgotten. Don't worry about it. Just put it behind you and move forward. And that actually was a great piece of advice from a real radio veteran who knew I must have wanted to kill myself that day, but it was like a pep talk. Don't worry about it. These things will happen, and we moved on. And that was a very memorable conversation I had with Bert Knapp of WMCA. But it was also a horrible day in terms of weather on the 4th of July.
Well,
1978, I don't remember 78, but it must have been I'm sure Scott is referring to a day where we had heavy rain or significant heavy rainfall. Anyway.
All right. So the next
the
question is, what was the highest temperature on the 4th of July since 1869?
I would have to say it was 1966. I think the temperature on that day, if it didn't hit 100 Central Park, it was very close to that. It was a very, very hot 4th of July, and it probably broke a record.
102 in 1949.
So what was it in 1966 on the 4th of July?
I don't know.
Because I know at LaGuardia on the 4th of July in 66, it was 107. So what possibly could it have been at, I guess maybe it was only 100 or 101 at Central Park on that day. All right.
Question 3. What was the coolest daytime high on July 4th?
The coolest maximum minimum. Why don't I say well, how about if I say 1979?
Well, the thing is, maybe he says now he has 62 for 1978. I can't imagine it happened in back-to-back years. I remember the one in the late 70s, but I don't remember if it was 78 or 79. He's got 78, 1962. Let's keep going. Question 4. 1981 was the rainiest 4th of July. Within a half an inch of rain, how much rain fell?
I seem to remember that one. I think something like 2.25 inches.
1.76.
Okay, so I missed by about a half an inch.
Okay. All right. Only 2 4th of Julys have recorded the high temperature for the year in New York City. It occurred. It occurred between. It occurred from anywhere from 1919 to 1949, and there's a hint in this question. Okay.
Well, what was the one where the 4th of July where we hit 102? What was that? 1940? 1941 again?
1949.
So I would say that I'll one of the two I would say is 1949.
And the other one is 1919.
1919.
Okay. Question 6, and that is the final question. This year was one of the hottest 4th of July weekends ever. Okay. The high on July 4th was 98. On July 3rd, it was 90. I'm sorry. On July 4th, it was 98. On July 3rd, it was 103. On July 2nd, it was 100.
Oh. How about 19? See, now my daughter was born on July the 5th. And I know that there was a weekend, I don't know if it was the 4th of July weekend, we actually called it off because it was exceedingly hot on her first birthday. 1994?
No, 1966.
60.
So
you made me forget
so
about 60.
let me get this straight. So 1978 could have been 1979, or 1979 could have been 1978 as far as the rainfall is concerned. Okay, and the cool weather is concerned. And so the 107 that LaGuardia got wasn't on July 4th; it was on July 3rd. Because he's got New York City at 103 for July 3rd, so you got to figure that maybe that was the day that LaGuardia got to 107, and July 2nd was 100, but July 4th was just 90. Was just 98. Look, I'll just say this. Well. I'll just say this. The confusing nature of all of this is perfect for the way this entire show went today. From start to finish, it's been just an absolute mess.
And in spite of everything else, we still managed to get 49 likes, so 49 thumbs up here.
Yeah, we even broke 100 on the viewers
50.
at one point.
50.
Thank you. So let me thank the Steve Lapointe messaged me with the list of the super chat. It was Odie who hit super chat early on, and I didn't get. So Odie, if you're still watching, thank you so much for hitting super chat. And then Jason Schaefer, Robert Russo, thank you all for hitting super chat tonight. It is most appreciated, especially since Joe and I have not been drinking before this show. We are going to be drinking after the show, but we're not drinking currently. Okay, I don't have my glass of wine here. So anyhow, I hope your Father's Day was good. Mine certainly was.
Yes, my now let me see. What did my wife got? My wife got me a brand new atomic clock because the one that we had malfunctioned and I couldn't get it to work anymore. And my daughter got me a vice grip.
Okay, and well, that's useful.
That's for when I change the oil on my tractor mower. You ever try to change the oil filter on a tractor mower or an oil filter at all? And you have these devices that supposedly clamp on the oil filter so that you can turn and twist it off, but you just can't do it. So now she got me a king-size vice grip, and she guarantees that this will get enough grip on the filter so next time I take it off, I'll be able to wrench it off. We'll see. Happy Father's Day to me.
Mrs. Rayo doesn't need a vice grip. She just does it with her bare hands. Rosie the Riveter.
I'm not saying anything.
No, don't.
I'm not saying anything.
By the way, so this is what JJ thinks of the show. He totally out cold. Exactly. Even the confusion couldn't keep it up. Christinapedia, I had a wonderful Father's Day. Thank you very much. One of my daughters, actually, I was with two of my daughters on Saturday because my grandson, my youngest grandson, got baptized on Saturday, and yesterday one of my youngest daughter came up from Saturday, so she was here in North Georgia, so she was on her way to Charleston, so she stopped here, had dinner, which I made, and it was spectacular, by the way, and spent the afternoon with me, and then she went on her way to Charleston, messaged me this morning, and she said, "Oh, the water is so warm here." I said, it's the South Carolina coast, the water's supposed to be warm.
Yes.
So anyway, it was a good day, and that's what matters. So I'm glad you had a good day. I had a good day, and let's end this fiasco tonight. And Joe and I will be back tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern time.
Unless my wife decides, like 15 minutes before the show, to suddenly
that she wants you to
go up and
cover the roof.
I was just going to say, give the roof a shampoo or something.
Exactly. Oh God. Well, she's not on the chat board, so she's not hearing any of this. Okay.
Yes,
Um,
well,
all right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks again for putting up with all the technical difficulties. It's most appreciated. And hopefully tomorrow night we'll have a cleaner show. So good night, everybody.
nighty night.